Jake, as I texted you earlier today, the number one thing that I want to get out of the way, as has become now a tradition for the past like three or four film tangents. Welcome back to Film Tangents. Is I want to know your top five WWE entrance songs, or entrances. Period. I can go
Okay.
first, or we can go like a one. If you would like. Like I can do one and then you one, or you can do one and then I can.
Yeah, let's trade them off, but you go
All
first.
right. So I did a little bit of research, because I get home quite early from work, and I'm able to have a little time to prep. So I've prepped. I've listened to, I watched some top videos, like top 20 WWE theme songs, that kind of video. And, I was trying to do some research, trying to refresh my mind. As somebody who grew up, I started watching WWE at the heels of the Attitude Era, and I mainly growing up consumed the what is it? Brutal aggression. What is
It's
it?
aggression.
Yeah, ruthless aggression era. And then large chunk of the beginning to midway through the PG era. Um, I have a lot. There's a large variety of these songs. So I needed to refresh myself on some of the old songs, some of the mid 2000 songs, and I also a little bit of the newer like 2010 songs. That being said, I am going to be as predictable as humanly possible and start this
Yeah.
top five with my number five. But really, this is kind of like unranked a little bit. But my number five, if you've listened to even any um, seconds of our WWE discussions, you should know that I am completely biased for the GOAT, Shawn Michaels, and thus his Sexy Boy song that he sings himself.
Fact. I didn't know he sang it himself.
Yeah, he sings it himself. His Sexy Boy song, it is my number five. What is it? I know I'm cute. What is it? They think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. That's how it goes.
Sexy boy?
Yeah, they
I
think
don't know
I'm
what it's
cute.
called, but
Yeah,
I guess that it seems really obvious that he sings it. So did I know that or did I not know that? I guess it's like obvious, but you don't
you don't think
think
about it. Yeah,
about it
because it could
really.
be anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's. I think they think I'm cute. They know I'm sexy. I got the moves that make the girls go wild. I'm a sexy boy. That's the Shawn Michaels song. It's funny because recently I saw an interview with him and Triple H, in which they were talking about how Shawn has had the same theme song since he debuted as a single star. He just had the same theme songs all through the 90s, all through the 2000s, the 2010s. He's always had the same song. And Triple H mentioned something that made me laugh, which is there's like a throw off like ad lib where he goes like he goes hands off the merchandise. He goes like hands off the merchandise, and Triple H was like commenting how that's like his favorite part of that song, and that made me laugh. But yeah, Sexy Boy, Shawn Michaels. A lot of iconic memories for me from him entering with that song. WrestleMania 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. A bunch of Raws. When he came in 2007 and interrupted Randy Orton's coronation with Vince McMahon, which I also said was my number one like loud crowd pop moment of WWE. Shawn Michaels, number five.
Respect. I would say uh I'll 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 trade you with my predict one of my most predictable
Mm-hmm.
ones. It's got to be
Yeah, I know
Brock's.
what's going on.
Brock's entrance.
Yeah.
His I like the simplicity of his theme song.
Mm-hmm.
He's got it. It has a similar effect to the Undertaker's theme where it starts with just one sound. So like Undertaker had obviously the gong,
Mm-hmm.
and then Brock Lesnar's theme began with I guess it's like a distorted guitar that just like wow wow wow
Mm-hmm.
sound. And then like that just echoes a little bit, and then the theme kicks in.
Yeah.
But I like that. Those are always effective because it's like this ominous sound that makes people go like, "Oh shit,"
It just got real. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then he comes out, he does his he does his like warm-up bounce thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call that, but we used to I think it's from the amateur wrestling world cuz I did I was on the wrestling team in high school, and that's what we would do when you're warming up for a match, like when you're about to have a match. You want to get warm so when you go by order of weight class. So like when the guy 2 weight classes below you is having his match, you want to get like, you stand like basically kind of right outside the line and you just bounce like that to keep your muscles warm,
Mhm.
you know? And so I think that's where that comes from. And he just incorporated that because he was obviously, he wrestled all his life since he was like 5, I think. Because wrestling's huge in the upper northern Midwest, up there in North Dakota
That's why
and
the guy's so
everything.
good, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then collegiate wrestling, he was the NCAA champion. And then they recruited him right out of college for WWE, slapped a bunch of money on the table, and I've been you know what I've been hooked on lately, dude, is Jim Cornette's
Mm.
podcast
Oh,
clips.
I haven't. I think I've seen some, but I've not. I'm not very in tune to it.
I can't stop listening to that guy, man. That guy is unbelievable. He's like because he's a country boy.
Mhm.
He's one of the only Southerners I've ever heard who swears like a New Yorker.
Mhm.
Like, because Southern people don't. One thing I've noticed as a person has roots in New York, my family is from New York, and so like I swear like crazy. Anyone who's listening to the podcast knows like I swear all the time on this fucking podcast. So there I go. There I go right there.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big reason why all of our podcast episodes have that E on
Yeah.
there. But
Explicit.
Southerners don't.
Explicit and demonetized. Not
Yeah,
that we're
but
monetized anymore.
Southerners don't swear that much. That's one thing I can tell you from as a New Yorker who grew up mostly in the South. Southerners swear, but they don't swear profusely. But Jim Cornette like swears profusely. He's like, "Well, when I was down in OVW with fucking Brock or whatever the fuck, it's just like when I was listening to this one clip where he Brock talked back to Jim Cornette's wife right in front of Jim, and then Jim Cornette told Brock Lesnar that he would shoot him if he ever talked to his wife like that again.
That's so funny.
But he said Brock was like the biggest dickhead too. He just came in and was like a high school jock, type where he would like bully people. He would I think he said he made one of the referees cry. Like it was like that guy.
So Brock's the kind of guy that you just can't fuck with that guy, because it's funny because
No.
you hear like stories, WWE stories of like locker room, like like the older guys like kind of like bullying or trying to toughen up the other guys, and it's like this is the kind of guy that probably doesn't have any of those stories, so you don't fuck with that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, Lesnar, I think he's just kind of a dick, like kind of a bully.
Yeah.
He's like one of my personal heroes, but he's definitely, I don't think, a great guy or anything.
Well, same thing. It's funny because both of us started our top 5 with our personal favorite wrestler, and both of those guys have a bunch of like douchebag stories. Like Shawn Michaels has just like a fucking cascade of like douchebag like bully behind the scenes story. So
the Montreal screw job.
Yeah,
dude. Fuck, man. Yeah, apparently even Brock Lesnar's wife, Sable, he's married to Sable. I don't know if you knew that from
I knew
the
that.
Diva.
Yeah.
And when he began, she had an affair with him while she was still married.
Oh, spicy.
She was still married, and she cheated on her husband with Brock, and then left that guy for Brock.
Yeah.
And now she has a couple kids with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Which looked
even
just
like reading.
Yeah.
Dude, that's another thing that Jim Cornette said that made me laugh so goddamn hard. He said, he was like, well, when I saw this photo of Brock Lesnar's daughter online, the first thing I thought was, oh, that's terrible that they would put a photo of superimpose Brock's face onto
No,
hers.
she looks just like him. She looks
It's
just like
crazy,
him.
man. I know, it's nuts, man. Everybody's like, all the comments are just like, the mom's DNA didn't even try.
No, they
And
look just like him.
that's not the kid he had with Sable though. He had that daughter with another
He had
woman,
like a
and then he has
son.
like two. He has like 2 or 3 sons with Sable, I
Uh,
think, or
uh,
maybe 2. Um, but yeah, like I read, I'll read. I've talked about it before. Like I'll read Brock's autobiography once a year, pretty much, and because it's a very inspiring book. But his even in the autobiography, his attitude is very, like narcissistic
mhm.
and me first and I'm the greatest kind of attitude. So everybody's got their baggage, but
Yeah.
I think Brock, even in the UFC though, Brock was like a notorious like asshole backstage. I mean, you can see it though in his second fight with Frank Mir, because Frank Mir was his first loss in his first match in UFC, and Mir got like a lucky win on him. So then a couple years later, they have a match to unify the UFC titles, and Brock like kicked the shit out of him, like just beat his ass. I mean, it was brutal. He just whooped him for 2 rounds straight and then put him away. And Frank Mir's face is like swollen, busted up, bloody. And then after the match, I guess Mir was like kind of stumbling around and didn't really know where he was. And at one point he stumbles toward Brock, and Brock gets up in his face and goes, "Talk all the shit you want now, motherfucker." And it's like, oh man, you don't do that. I was like, you don't like beat someone's ass
Yeah.
and then get in their face and like rub salt in the wound. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Anyway,
Tell me your
what's
heroes.
your number? Yeah, yeah. You gotta. Yeah. I'm always willing to. I'm not a fan of when people have a hero and they're just like, oh, well, they can do no wrong. It's like, no,
Yeah.
dude, I'm fully willing to.
No, a lot of these guys are douchebags.
Oh
A lot
yeah,
of these guys are douchebags because we're talking about people who are executing whatever your opinion is of like professional wrestling. Who cares? But we're talking about people who are executing at the peak of their profession.
yeah.
Like the people who folks talk about as like you know incredibly great athletes and great in-ring performers. And even when you leave the WWE, because I'm also like a big fan of tennis. When you look at these guys that are like at the top of the world in terms of like tennis, whether it's Nadal or Federer or Djokovic, all of these guys are kind of assholes. I have Federer's autobiography, I have Nadal's autobiography, and they all have these like instances in them where it's like where it's like, oh, this guy was so fucking full of himself. He's a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
complete asshole. And so it goes. That's like I feel like that's the nature of these kind of like apex athlete sports where you have to be this guy, when you're operating at
The
the
dark
top of it.
side.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But in any case, talking about apex athletes, I might be stealing one of yours here because my number 4 here is I Walk Alone by
Yeah, dude.
Batista.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Totally agree. I'll just throw that in as my number 4. Why not?
Okay.
Uh yeah. That's like music wise, because some of these are like entrance wise.
Hmm.
Like I would never say that Brock Lesnar has one of the best WWE themes.
Yeah.
It's it's very basic,
Yeah.
but it works for him. Oh, and I forgot to mention, he does that bounce, but then when he goes to the ring, then he like does that jump off the floor and right onto the apron, which
Hmm.
looks so athletic for a guy who's like 6'3",
Yeah,
290
the guy's a freak,
to do
man.
that.
The guy's a
Oh my
freakazoid.
god.
It's interesting because I was rewatching like a little bit of that, a little bit of the Mania match that he had with Kurt Angle,
Kurt
where
Angle?
he does the shooting star press
Oh fuck, yeah.
and just
Yeah.
falls on his noggin. It's like,
Yeah.
and the whole time, dude. because then I watched an interview with Kurt, and he was like talking about it, and he was like, I don't know why he did it. And after he did it, I was just like, I was like trying to keep the match going, and the whole time I'm going like Brock, are you okay? Are you okay, Brock? It's like Brock,
Yeah.
because Brock was supposed to win, and the whole time it's like, Brock, can you pin me? Do you think you can pin me? Brock, are you okay? And then eventually Brock is just like, yeah, I think I'm okay. I'll pin you. Like, he's like, can you do your finisher? But I watched that and I was like, what would compel Brock to do that? Like, he's a massive guy. He's like 6'4",
Well,
gigantic.
He's landed it before, dude.
Yeah.
That's why he did it before. Look it up.
Yeah.
If you look up on YouTube,
They
Brock
didn't do it
Lesnar
again
shooting
after
star
that.
press. He didn't do it after that.
He almost died.
Kurt was too far across the ring.
Yeah,
I
he was
think
too
the
far.
problem because Brock landed it, but
He didn't
Kurt was
land
too
on
far,
him.
so his head just goes right into Kurt Angle's fucking rib cage.
Yeah, he landed next to him on his own head in the most hilarious way because he's maintaining the pose.
And then when he does it, I can picture it. When he does it, you just see his like arm go up, and he's like kind of like tries to pin Kurt.
Ridiculous match, man.
Yeah.
But in any case, Batista, I Walk Alone. Not only is it a great song, I've actually been listening to it as of the past few weeks, but also I love his intro. Like I love him when he walks in, and when he gets down and he does kind of like that shooting with the fireworks on his back.
Fucking awesome.
Just a great intro. Just a great intro. Like, it was always iconic. Like, whenever I would watch him, whenever I watched like a Batista match, I was always so excited just because he would come out and he would do this whole intro, and it was just so fun. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you nailed it. I mean, yeah, the theme is so awesome. Such an intense hard rock, heavy metal song. It perfectly encapsulates the music of the Ruthless Aggression era, because that's all the music that was really popular at the time. And like that tribute video that they put together for Brock's retirement, when they had a song by Godsmack in there, I was just like, oh, this feels so Ruthless Aggression, man. This is perfect. Because I love music songs like that, man. I love that, like that 2000s hard rock, man. Chevelle, Puddle of Mud, Godsmack. But yeah, Batista, fucking awesome. He was great too, man. Batista was awesome. He was weirdly like, I don't know. There was something about Batista though. He was weirdly devoid of like personality in a way. But he worked really well.
Yeah, it's interesting because he was charismatic. Like, there was something about him that he was like, he, like you said, he was a little bit. There was a little bit of him that was a little bit like a blank slate. Like, you have all this cavalcade of characters with guys like Jeff Hardy, and guys like Edge, and The Undertaker, and Shawn Michaels, and Kurt Angle, John Cena. Like, you have all these guys that are like such, they have such distinctive, Ric Flair, distinctive like characters, and for him it's like, oh, it's Batista, But the funny thing is that, like you said, it still worked. Like, he was still massively popular. He was still incredibly fun to watch and super athletic, and powerful. Yeah. But there was not much to his character.
I wonder, because he's honestly, when you think about when Roman Reigns, when they tried to do him as a babyface, it's kind of an identical character in a way. And you kind of wonder why Batista worked for the fans, but Roman didn't. I guess Batista, it really probably comes down to Batista's promo work was a little better. And maybe the timing was better too. Because at the time with Roman, everybody wanted Daniel Bryan, or they wanted like some other guys, whoever it was.
But I think there's also something with Batista that he comes across a little bit more warm. Like, there's something about Batista, the person, that I think you
Yeah.
could see through him that he was like a nice guy. It was like, oh, this
Yeah,
guy,
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
about him just kind of told you, like, even when he was with Evolution and he was playing heel, like, something about him always told you, like, this guy's really a nice guy, you know? And then when he was like pairing up with Eddie, with Eddie Guerrero, or like pairing up with like Rey Mysterio, and they just kind of made him into this like very like just fun baby face. Like
Yeah.
it just worked, you know. But the thing with Roman Reigns is that Roman Reigns always came across as an asshole, even during the
Yeah.
babyface stuff, like with the hair and everything. It was always just like, dude, nobody believes that you're a nice guy. Like you're out here trying to be a nice guy. You're not a nice guy. Like you just don't look like. Even if you are, you just don't look like a nice guy. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. That is very true. Batista was a good heel
He
too. I
was.
liked when he turned heel in like '09 and he beat the shit out of Rey
Yeah, he betrayed him. That was
Mysterio.
sad. That was a tough day for me. Dude.
Oh yeah, I just remember like they had a segment where Rey Mysterio was like, "Hey man, think of Eddie," and then Batista's like, "Eddie's dead," and you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh
Oh my
fuck,
god. Yeah.
dude."
It's funny, man, how WWE is such a strange like specimen in the way that
Mhm.
they like play with both kayfabe and real stuff. You know, like that. You know, like
Yeah.
Eddie Guerrero was dead for real. He had been dead for like a few years. You know, and to bring him up like that, it's like it was truly an evil thing. But it's like I can't believe you guys even like went there. You know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. What's your number 3?
You go first, since you know I stepped on I Walk Alone. Let's switch it
Yeah.
up.
Um, I gotta say probably Edge.
Okay,
Probably Edge. Combination of really great theme song, fun theme,
Metalingus. Yeah,
uh, just very like yeah, larger than life theme, you know. And then, but then his entrance was incredible. You had this just crazy strobe light concert effect,
yeah.
and
On this
then he does
day.
the fork hands up to the air, and
Yeah,
the fireworks just do 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 do. He enters with a trench coat,
yeah.
and yeah, Edge's entrance was awesome.
It was great.
What's your 3?
It is one of those like old timers. Like and that one
Mm-hmm.
like that's an honorable mention for me. Like it really almost made the cut for me.
Yeah.
It is that's an all timer, especially with like the you think you know me, you know, and just do 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 do. It's like it's perfect, right? Because when I watch those like when I watch videos of like the loudest like crowd explosions, of the entrances, there's always all of the theme songs have something in common, and it is just like this very iconic first like 2 seconds, that immediately engage the crowd, with the John Cena one, If You Smell with The Rock, or the car crash with Stone Cold. Like it's all these like really specific noises, even with the Shawn, like the yelping at the beginning of that song. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and Edge's might be like best one all time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. But for
You think you
me,
know me?
number 3, and this might be me stepping on you again. So I guess so because I know that you like this wrestler, so
Okay.
you let me know. Um, Kane's entrance.
Kane?
Yeah,
Yeah, he would have been in there for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're stepping, dude.
I'm
You're
stepping.
stepping.
Yeah, because I knew that with
Which
Kane.
era though? Which era of his was the best? Like which? Because he has a bunch of different entrances and themes.
The ruthless aggression one, like the what do you call that?
The hard rock version.
Yeah, slow chemical. That version.
Yeah.
I love that version of that song. That's like that. I mean, that to me, that's like peak, like just guitar riffing. Like
Hmm.
this like smudgy like hard rock guitar riffs. And that's
Like
it.
sludge metal
Yeah.
kind of.
So just great. Like
Yeah, that
just
was
great
great.
because I never loved Kane. Like I never really got super into Kane. Like post him beefing with the Undertaker, I kind of like didn't really love what they were doing with him otherwise. But
Yeah, they
his
wasted him.
yeah, they kind of wasted him. But his intro, like his entrance, was always just goated. It was
Oh
always like,
yeah.
oh, here he goes. It was always just worth listening to that. It's one of those things where because I've always had those like old 2000s wrestling WWE games. SmackDown versus Raw 2007, I think we have, and 2009. And his intro is one of those where I always like, okay, we're not gonna skip this one. Like, we're gonna listen to the
Yeah,
Kane
yeah.
intro. I always had like specific intros, like, okay, we're listening to this, we're listening to Kane, we're listening to Shawn, we're listening to Batista's intro. But yeah, Kane's my number three.
Yeah, they did waste him, and Kane was the best, obviously, in the Attitude Era. Kane is like, I mean, Kane is he's almost as much of a staple of the Attitude Era as like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, when I think of the Attitude Era, I think of Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Mm-hmm.
The Rock, Undertaker, and Kane.
Mm-hmm.
Like those dudes, right? Any purists, huge Attitude Era fans out there, like, oh, you're forgetting. Blah, blah, blah. I'm probably forgetting someone.
Yeah, but those were.
I know,
I mean,
like
those were the key
Shawn
players.
Michaels.
Yeah, those were the key
Yeah,
players. I feel like when we talk about key players of the Attitude Era, I mean, it was them. It was mainly The Rock and Steve Austin. It was mainly those guys,
yeah,
and then The Undertaker and
yeah.
Kane and Shawn, Triple H. Bret Hart was still there for a little bit, but
EX.
it was mainly those guys. Those were the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in during the first part of the Ruthless Aggression era, Kane was still awesome, and his whole unmasking thing was cool.
Yeah.
It was a little
With that
confusing.
weird
I mean,
curly hair that he had.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was kind of confusing though. Like when I was a kid, I was confused by it because he takes his mask off and there's like smudge on his face,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, what are those supposed to be, the burns? But then he doesn't have burns,
No,
and you realize like, oh no, that was just the like little eyeshadow he
that he
puts
had
around his
under the
eye
mask.
under the
Yeah.
mask
Yeah.
that sweated off, and I just don't know what they were really going for, but it was cool, because it was like, oh, it's the first time he's taken off his mask. But yeah, they really, I think what they started using Kane for in like the latter part of the Ruthless Aggression era and then the PG era was just putting over other guys, trying to make other guys look good by beating this huge monster.
Yeah.
The problem with that is when you do that so often, your stock goes
That's the
down.
problem.
You
Yeah,
know,
because at that point you just become the guy that they use, like you said, to just put guys over, and then you just lose
he became
consecutively.
like a jobber.
Exactly, and that was my
He was like a
problem with him.
jobber.
That was my problem with him during that era. That he literally that's what he became.
Yeah,
And he lost like
yeah,
all aura.
definitely. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't mind like bald Kane either. I was like, okay, it's cool. They changed the character up, but after a while, it was just like, it was he was jobbing, and then he would always kind of be in and out of the world title hunt. Like he would
Mm.
always be, like they'd put him in if they were having some kind of fatal 4-way or 6-man match for the championship, they'd have him in there,
Hmm.
but it's like he never would
He
win,
didn't have a
and it's
shot. He
like,
didn't have a shot. He didn't have a
yeah,
shot in hell to like do anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like he didn't become a world champion again till like 2010. I
Hmm.
remember when he cashed in Money in the Bank or
Hmm.
whatever. But yeah, yeah. So he kind of got wasted. I remember like Alberto Del Rio cheated and then beat
Alberto.
Kane one time, and I'm like, who fucking? This makes Kane look stupid, and it doesn't make Alberto Del Rio look good.
Right.
So what are we doing?
Yeah.
But anyway, number two,
You
we
wanna
got.
you wanna go for it? You want me to go for it?
I'll go for it. My number two. Okay, wait, no, who was it? There was Kane. Actually, you go. I got to remember what
Okay.
it
Well,
was.
mine you
Oh no, no,
mentioned.
no! I got it. I
Okay,
got it.
go ahead.
I got it. Undertaker, but
Really, the Symphony of Darkness.
well, not because he had a bunch of different entrances. A bunch.
Oh,
I
I
got a
see.
southern there. He had a bunch of different entrances, So he had like his original entrance. He had the Attitude
He had
Era.
the
He
one where he
had
was like
his
yeah, the
motorcycle
motorcycle
entrance.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a couple of those. He had
The
the American Badass, the Limp Bizkit song, and then he had the Big Evil theme or whatever, and then he had his, you know, the one he kept
dun.
used until the end of his career.
Yeah.
Um, I I'm specifically obviously the main one that he used
It's
throughout
iconic.
the rest of the from 2004 ish onward. Um, that's obviously the most iconic, but
Hmm.
I would say his Ministry of Darkness theme from the Attitude Era,
Hmm.
one of the coolest theme songs ever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I do. Yeah. I
It's
think
like
so.
that gong, you have the gong in there, and then you have that kind of regular sounding Undertaker theme, but then this like heavy metal kind of riff kicks in,
Yeah.
and it sounds almost like something out of the
I
Matrix or
think I know
something.
what it
Like
is. I must have heard
it
it
sounds like
before.
Rage. Yeah, it almost sounds like Rage Against the Machine in a way, but a little more ominous.
Hmm.
That's like the best way I can describe it. It has a similar tempo to like a Rage Against the Machine song,
Okay.
but darker, and yeah, just more menacing. Um, but yeah, so I would have definitely have to say that one.
Okay. Undertaker. For me, I'm gonna take it back to the Attitude Era, like you did with some folks that you mentioned, and it is the DX theme song and their entrance. I loved the DX entrance too. But yeah, that break it down,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I love the DX entrance because again, it has everything. It has that like few seconds in the beginning that really like kind of captivate you and just kind of like shoot you with like energy. The very first few seconds of that dum dum.
Yeah.
And then again with the break it down and they come out. I always loved their intro, and it's funny because I remember when Edge and Randy Orton like parodied it back when they were like beefing with them,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
rated
that's
rated
right.
RKO team that they had.
And Edge wore like
A
a
nose,
giant
yeah.
fucking nose. That was to mock Triple H. That was
Yeah,
dirty, dude.
yeah, it really was. Um, but they mocked it perfectly though, because they came out and it was an iconic entrance they did, and they mocked it really fun, like really well, because the entrance was Triple H coming out, like very serious. He would come out like very kind of straight faced, and then Shawn would be basically like doing laps around him. Um, and I loved that intro. I loved that intro. I loved the song. I loved what they would do when you would watch it on TV, where they would just like put the flashes of like the DX and everything on the screen. And I loved when they would get in the ring, and they would do the like whatever you call that, their DX thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it was like a
yeah,
suck it thing, but they
yeah,
did the as an X
yeah,
instead of hitting their
yeah,
crotch.
exactly. And then with the X's fireworks in the background, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved DX. Like when I was a kid, they were like the coolest thing. As a little boy watching WWE. So that being said, I also love the song. It's interesting because like I can attribute WWE and all these like rock songs with my appreciation of rock music. Because rock music was not something that was really like ever present when I was growing up. It was just more like traditional music from my country or just like pop songs. So because of listening to this stuff, because of playing the video games and the video games also having a bunch of rock songs, like just a bunch of like rock songs from a bunch of different bands, um, I attribute a lot of that. I attribute my taste for that music to these theme songs and these games. But yeah,
Yeah.
man,
Same here, dude.
DX number two.
Same here. Same here. That like WWE was a weird gateway for me, or not weird at all, but just a gateway for me into hard
Hard
rock.
rock, yeah, yeah, 100%.
Like, and I still to this day love hard rock.
Yes.
I had like I gave metal a try for a few years there, even like on the earlier seasons of the podcast, you can hear me recapping some metal, but
Yeah,
I really realized like I think what I really like is hard rock. I think metal is I'm just very picky with it. I don't like the growling like death metal, black metal. That's all like out of the equation for me. I like metal core,
yeah,
like Polaris and stuff, but
yeah,
like what I really love is stuff like Alice in Chains,
yeah. They're great.
Chevelle,
Yeah,
yeah, Godsmack, Rage Against the Machine, which they're metal,
yeah.
but they're on that
Yeah,
line,
they're on the line. A lot of these hard rock, like almost alternative, almost like alternative. Almost, you could almost say like hard rock or like alternative metal, like these post
Yeah,
grunge like bands. Very moody, like rock bands.
yeah.
Yeah.
Breaking Benjamin, that's another one from WWE that I think WWE would use Breaking Benjamin in a lot of their promo
Hmm.
stuff. Puddle of Mud they would use. So I really like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I'm definitely with you on that.
What do
I know
you?
who your number one is, by the way.
Oh, do you really think you know? Do you
You
really?
think you know me?
Do you really
Don't
think?
on this journey.
I see clearly. Do you really think you know?
you
Dude,
you want me to guess?
yeah, guess. If you know my number one so bad, go ahead and guess it, man.
It's Triple
It is
H,
Triple H.
man. Yeah, I knew it. I know you,
It
man.
is Triple H. But I'm gonna go ahead and cheat. I'm gonna go ahead and cheat. Okay, so I'm gonna cheat here,
Okay,
and I am basically just gonna say all of Triple H's entrances, specifically all of Triple H's like Motorhead entrances. I'm gonna cheat and just do
sure.
that. I'm gonna say the game. I'm gonna say King of Kings, and I'm even gonna say Line in the
Evolution.
Sand, the Evolution
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Like I would say that those are my top. Like I was actually listening to those like a couple of days ago.
Hmm.
Just because I love those songs. I love King of Kings. I love the Line in the Sand Evolution theme. It is Triple H. It is to me. I feel like those are as iconic as it gets. In terms of like WWE, it has everything, right? Everything that we've talked about. It has the hard rock element of it. It has the iconic status of the first few like seconds of the song, with the laugh of the game, every single one of these songs, and I love the lyrics of them. Like I love the line in King of Kings where he says, "On your knees, dog." I always think that that's like such a great line for Triple H's character, and like that persona of just thinking that he's above everything. And again, just also the
Sure.
line in the sand with the Evolution. I just love all of these, and they're all so iconic to me. Evolution, how they would just play that song, and they would all come out slowly, like walking super slow. Like Triple H and Batista and Randy Orton and Ric Flair, they would all walk like in slow motion, just the
Oh
biggest
yeah.
group of douchebags. Um, and then again, obviously with Triple H coming in with the water and the wet hair, and the guitar riff solo and him with the big splash, like I always just adore that intro. Yeah, and to this day, it's one of the greatest like WWE pop moments when he came out in Madison Square Garden. Everybody went crazy. Yeah, it's Triple H. It was always going to be that. You knew. I mean, you knew it. You saw it coming.
Oh, of course.
Triple
Process
H.
of elimination,
Yeah, no,
dog.
and Triple H, even outside of his intro, like he's one of my like at least like if not top five, top 10 greatest like wrestlers for me. I love, love, love Triple H. He was my brother's favorite growing up, so he and I just basically split DX. He really loved Triple H, and I loved Shawn Michaels. But even then, I love Triple H. Yeah, that's number one, dude.
Dude, when I was a kid, I thought Evolution. I thought those guys were so cool. I was like, these guys are
They're
so fucking
the
cool,
coolest
man.
guys. Yeah,
I was like, these guys are awesome.
yeah.
Like because I think what was great about them was like and the name of the group implied it, but it was
Evolution.
the age,
Evolution.
the span of ages that the
Mm-hmm.
group covered. Like you
Mm-hmm.
had this cool old guy, Ric
Ric
Flair.
Flair. Yeah.
Then you had the two like mid 30s heading toward middle-aged guys, Triple
Triple
H and
H,
Batista.
Batista, yeah.
And then you had the
Young
young guy,
guy,
Randy
Randy
Orton.
Orton.
And they were all just so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, you know when these guys leave the arena, they're just going into a
Yeah,
limo.
and they
They
had the
got
limo
fucking
in
chicks
their like
around them
little
all the
video of their
time.
song. There was like them like getting out of a limo and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, they were so cool, man.
Yeah, they really
Like I
were.
remember they just never recreated that. Like when they had I remember, like when Nexus was around, I was like, these guys ain't
No, they didn't
these guys
have
ain't
it.
getting in a limo
No,
together,
no, because that was a cool thing. Like you said, that was a cool thing with Evolution is just that they had so much riz. They just were
Oh yeah.
completely just swagged out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah, dude.
yeah, they really were.
Yeah. Do I still have one more to
Yes,
go?
you have your
Am I
top.
supposed to hit a number one?
Yeah, you have your top one.
I,
Which if I were going to guess, and I don't know if I were to be right with this, like I don't know, like if I were going to guess,
I don't
for you,
have one.
okay,
I don't have one, man, because I didn't write. I was thinking about it throughout the day, but I didn't actually create a proper list because of events
yeah,
of today,
yeah.
disappearing cats and whatnot.
But if I were going to guess like what it would have been, like if you had like planned it out, I thought that it
Oh
might
yeah.
have been CM Punk Cult of Personality, or I thought that it might have
Oh,
been This Fire Burns, like the Kill Switch Engage, like CM Punk one.
that's the bit. Yeah. So thank you for that. Actually, this Fire Burns is probably the best theme song. I don't know if it's not the best theme as far as how well it works as a wrestling theme song.
But it's a great song.
Even as a It's just a great song.
Yeah.
Like that's like one of the best. That might be the best metal song for
It might
my
be.
money.
Yeah.
By This Fire Burns by Killswitch Engage. Anything by Killswitch Engage that guy, their original singer, sang. I mean, their original singer, that guy's voice was fucking incredible. Like I've listened to Killswitch Engage's new stuff, and their new singer's good, but man, that original singer, that guy, incredible
He had the money.
voice. Yeah. But oddly enough, I do remember even as a kid, when CM Punk would come out to that song, and especially when it would kick into like this fire burns, I was like, it's kind of weird to walk out to this.
Yeah, it
like
is.
something about it didn't fit.
Yeah.
It was like too harrowing of a
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Whereas like to me, like a wrestling theme is supposed to communicate like, some sort of gravitas
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form. Now, there's different versions of that. Like when it's guys like Kane, Undertaker, Brock Lesnar,
Mhm.
it's fear versus a guy like Kofi Kingston. It's like a triumphant kind of thing. But
Right.
this Fire Burns by Killswitch Engage is very like.
It
It's
was
a
an
song
odd
about
choice.
overcoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a song about overcoming adversity, which like that's fine. But it sounds like it sounds just it's very metal. Like
Yeah.
it sounds very much like I'm in a bad place kind
Mhm.
of song, but I'm still going.
Yeah.
And it just didn't
It's interesting.
really fit as a
No,
wrestling
No,
song.
and like you said, it was always odd with him because in the old games, like in the games that I have with CM Punk, that was his intro song at the very beginning. For like
Yeah.
a couple of years, that was his intro song, and then obviously he's had a Cult of Personality for like 20 years now, and that just fits him so much better. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. It's a great song, and somehow it just doesn't work. Like it just didn't work. He did good to switch that song out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Cult of Personality, I don't think is a great song or anything, but I don't really care for that song that much, but
Yeah.
it is a better wrestling
It's a
song.
better wrestling song.
Like it really, yeah, it's honestly still a bit odd, but it works better.
It works better. I also thought that there was a world in which you had Randy Orton either like Burning My Light, whatever the one, like whatever whatever that one was.
That was good, man.
Yeah.
I do have honorable mentions that I want to shout
Or
out
voices.
real quick.
I hear voices. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, Burning My Light from Randy Orton was good.
Which is funny because he hated that song. He like hated it, dude. He like didn't want it. So
That's like a listenable
It
song, though.
is.
I feel like Voices, it's a decent entrance, but it's like kind of an unlistenable
Hmm.
song. Like you'd never really
You can't
play
put that in
that
a
in any
car.
kind of
Like
setting.
if
No,
you're
it's
like
weird.
riding in a car with people, there's like two other people in the car, and that song comes up, they're probably gonna look at you like I feel like you're gonna feel like the cringe in your body. You're gonna get itchy. Like oh shit, fucking what this
Yeah.
song came up.
I
Who
am
is this?
Voices. It's like
Yeah,
it's
it
disjointed.
is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just a weird song.
yeah,
Randy Orton, Burning My Light. I'll give that as an honorable mention. Entrance wise, though, his entrance as the Viper is a great entrance. Just
yeah.
that slow, just stalking toward the ring, and then standing up on the corner rope and doing his little like look at me pose.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Um,
Such like a weirdly like douchebaggy like like but really like weirdly like ominous like entrance. But I did love Hey because I loved when he would come out and at the beginning he would just like do his like little thing and they had those like
yeah.
firework like rain thing behind him. I really loved that. Like when they did away with Hay and they did away with that like fireworks show that they did with him, I was like, oh shit, that kind of sucks, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Burning My Light, it was a perfect song for him because his character at that time was just like I'm better than you
Hmm.
character, so
Hmm.
it was perfect. On with honorable mentions, I'll say theme wise or entrance wise or just all around, just so you know what I'm saying. Theme wise, Jack
Oh
Swagger's
yeah, check one, two.
song.
Yeah. Oh, such a great song.
Yeah,
Such a great.
yeah.
I always
I got you.
what I
Where I
want
want
you. I
you.
always hated Jack Swagger, but he had like a weirdly goaded theme song.
Great theme
Yeah.
song. I think it was like a Rage Against the Machine tribute band
Yeah.
that did it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Great song.
On your knees.
Knees.
Ba-na-na,
Banana.
ba-na-na, ba-na. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They wasted that
Um
song on Jack Swagger.
yeah. Theme wise, Wade Barrett's End of Days. I
Mm.
thought that was a great theme. He didn't like that theme. I really liked that theme. I thought that was a great theme.
Yeah.
Um uh entrance wise, Goldberg, that's iconic.
Yeah, that's iconic. He has an iconic
Hmm.
entrance.
And then all around, but specifically entrance. I'll just say entrance wise. Um, the guy who just retired, Brock Lesnar, Obafemi,
I don't know who that
um,
is.
dude, great. Is very Goldberg esque.
Mm-hmm.
Like he comes out, and it's this big grand, like there's smoke behind him, and then he does this little like strut to the ring where he goes like this, and people chant "Oba."
That sounds pretty
Oh,
cool.
and everybody in the audience does his little strut. It's
Yeah.
almost like Vince McMahon's strut, but
Yeah.
more like warrior like,
Yeah.
And so it'll show him doing the strut, and then it'll cut to people in the audience, and it's just like a sea of people just doing the little strut with
Yeah.
him and
That's
going,
pretty cool.
oh, but I'm like, this is fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
Yeah.
And what else? Yeah, that's all that kind of comes to mind, really. I guess the Shield. Oh, the Shield. The Shield had a great entrance when they came in through the crowd. And you had that thing at the beginning where it goes like, it's like a walkie-talkie, like, and then you just hear dudes going like, Beta, Alpha, Echo, Shield, and then it just
Yeah.
and they come down through the through the crowd.
Yeah, they had a great entrance.
That was cool.
And
Yeah.
and then Nexus also had a really good entrance. Like they had a really cool like theme song, Nexus, even though again they wasted those guys.
Oh yeah, we walk alone.
Yeah, they had a good theme.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
I'm gonna also throw a few. Vince's No Chance entrance. I was really good. No chance. Yeah.
With his walk. Yeah.
With that weird like spaghetti walk that he had. Yeah. But I always like even when I hated Vince as a kid, I always loved that song. And that song is such like a bop, man. A few other ones. MVPs. I got it. I don't know if you remember MVP.
Oh yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Nobody to stop me.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, I love that.
There was a
Go ahead.
When they did that Royal Rumble when Brock was just throwing everybody out of the ring, and then MVP does his entrance, and they cut to Brock, and Brock is in the ring just like bobbing his head to the music.
It's such a great song, man. Great
Yeah,
song. MVP is another one of those guys where like I think they never knew what to do with him, but I remember he had a stint, like a long stint with like the I think the U.S. Open Championship, but I always really liked him, and I always really liked his intro song. You already mentioned Jack Swagger. We already talked about The Rock and Steve Austin. Kurt Angle, I always really loved his
yeah.
intro.
You suck.
Yeah,
You suck. You suck.
All time heel. Kurt Angle again. Top 10 wrestlers for me all time. I loved Kurt Angle.
Do you remember that episode? It was either SmackDown or Raw, but like he would come out and people would start chanting that, and he kept just going back and being like, "I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna come back, and you guys are gonna stop it."
Yeah,
and then he'd come back out, and they'd start chanting it again, and he'd get pissed and like be like, "All right, we're gonna restart it. Restart the music."
No, he was great, man. I loved Kurt. Like it sucks that his career was so short, but he was such a great wrestler. Jeff Hardy. I always loved Jeff Hardy's dun 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 dun, dun, which is him kind of like going crazy, you know. Yeah. I love Jeff Hardy.
Yeah,
he was another one of those.
Yeah, he did that little like swimming thing when he came out, like that. Whatever the hell that was.
Yeah, he was another one of those, like another one of those really great wrestlers. Another one of those short-lived careers, you know. Just another for him. It was like a big thing with like addiction or whatever it was. But yeah, it's really sucked for me when he like stepped away because I know he came back at some point like in 2019, but it was too late for me at that point. I was already out of it. But Jeff Hardy was great. Chris Jericho,
all around. John Morrison is an all around for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Great theme and great entrance with the slow-mo and the sunglasses.
Yeah.
And you said Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho was a great one. We already talked about CM Punk.
Break the walls down.
I also liked Shane's "Here Comes the Money." I always thought that was a really good one too. And then finally, Alberto Del Rio. I really loved Alberto Del Rio's intro.
Yeah, when he drove the car out, and they'd have the sparks, and he'd do that little like smile with his arms out.
Yeah, he was a great heel because we talked about this. Like, you just hated that guy.
Oh my god!
But no, he would come in with a Rolls Royce, you know, and again, just like the huge like prick smile, and he had that one guy that always introduced him. You know, like Alberto Del Rio, that one guy that always introduced him. He had his own guy introduce him. Great. Loved Alberto Del Rio for that. Not in any other way, though. We already talked about him in the past. And then just to shout out a couple new ones that I heard recently. Cody Rhodes one I think is pretty good. Yeah. And then on the whoa. Yeah, oh, such a great one. And then on the Diva side, the Rhea Ripley "Demon in Your Dreams" song. I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, that was very cool. Rhea Ripley's cool.
Yeah, she's cool.
She's cool. Yeah, but that is a good theme.
That's it for this segment of our top 5 WWE intros. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
I hope you guys aren't too mad at us for continually talking about.
I think the first
we got bit by the bug, dude.
Yeah, we really have. The first hour of this episode is WWE, so I'm sorry. And this is a short episode as it is. So sorry about that, everybody. I know this show is called Film Tangents, but it seems like the tangents word really encapsulates a whole universe.
WWE's television.
It is.
That counts.
Yeah,
that counts.
In any case,
we'll count it.
Let's get into the movie of the week. Which this week it is Richard Linklater's 2025 movie Blue Moon, starring Ethan Hawke and Margaret Qualley. What did you make of this movie? This is like I think our third or fourth Richard Linklater movie on this podcast. I know that we saw Slacker and Waking Dreams, or whatever the name of that movie was.
Waking Life.
Yeah. So, and I think this is the third one. I don't know if I had pushed another Linklater movie on us until this one. Third Linklater movie on the show. Newest Linklater movie. What did you think about this movie, man? Blue Moon.
Well, I still, because of circumstances, I do still have about a half hour left on
Oh,
this thing. Um, my just to fill in the audience,
yeah,
I won't be able to give my full thoughts on the movie because my girlfriend and I did deal today with a vanishing cat. So
yeah,
yeah, we're uh, keep us in your thoughts. We're trying to find the little guy. We really don't know where he went or
yeah.
how he got out of the house or if he's still in the house in some unknown
Crevice.
crevice.
Yeah,
Maybe it's like that movie, The People Under the Stairs, where there's spaces, maybe he found some secret passageways behind the walls. We don't fucking know, dude.
yeah.
Um,
Dude, I hope it turns out.
and
I hope he turns out okay.
yeah, yeah, I love the little guy. I call him Zaboomafoo sometimes because he reminds me of a lemur.
Yeah.
He just looks like a little lemur and he hops around, especially when he stands up on two legs to try to get a better look at something. Oh, he's so cute. I love him. I love him. I love him. Hopefully he's all right. But
He'll
so
turn
that's
out.
been a little stressful, and that caused me to unfortunately not get all the way through the movie today. But man, this movie is it's definitely not going down for me as like some all time
No,
Linklater
it's
film or
not an
anything
all
like that.
timer. No.
No, definitely kind of a bottle movie.
Hmm.
I mean, like I said, I got a half hour left, but it doesn't seem
No,
like we ever really
100%.
leave this bar.
It doesn't go anywhere.
Uh, yeah. I thought the character was interesting and compelling, although very fucking annoying.
Hmm.
Really, really obnoxious, annoying. I think we've all met people like this, very grandiose people. You know what I mean? Very grandiose, just mouth like a freaking motor, just won't stop
Hmm.
going.
Oh yeah, we've been there uh, one too many
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Very
But
opinionated. Like this, he's like a Tarantino archetype of some sort.
yeah, oh my god, you're right. So opinionated and just they're the type of people that you have like this smile plastered on your face, and as they're talking your ear off, you're kind of just like, yeah, and it becomes increasingly harder to like smile and nod and listen.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I thought it was very compelling though. The whole this whole idea of this writer who's sort of been left out in the cold on this play that
Hmm.
ends up being a
Huge
huge hit,
success. Yeah,
Oklahoma.
yeah.
Yeah, Lorenz
Heart.
Hart,
Yeah,
right? Is that how you pronounce it, Lorenz?
I think so.
Um, yeah, and just it was really interesting watching this guy cope with
Hmm.
this. Um, but I've seen it over the years with talented people who um, just can't sit. They somehow can't really sit down and do the work,
Hmm.
and obviously this guy accomplished a lot, so he can
Yeah,
do it. He could do a degree, but
it became like an addiction
um,
issue for him.
yeah, it became an addiction issue. I thought it was really interesting how his buddy Richard, his former creative partner, he made that comment like, "Oh, whenever we were sitting down to write, and you'd be trying to find the nearest cigar store, you know." Um, but yeah, it was somewhat compelling.
Hmm.
But I don't know, man. It's like I don't even know where to really go with it because I feel like even if I had finished, gotten 100% of the way through the movie, I'm not sure how much I would really have to say.
Hmm.
This is one of those movies I probably should have taken notes for
Yeah,
because overall I just felt kind of like, you know,
yeah.
um, we're watching an artist past his prime. It's kind of interesting, but I don't know. I'll hand it over to you. You can kind of save me here.
Yeah, no, I'll take it. I'll take it
I'm
home.
having a day.
Yeah, I'll take it home, and we'll make this section brief anyway. Because I don't really have all that much to say about it either. But it was interesting. Again, like we talked about, this kind of Tarantino-esque character, right? And there are two passages at the beginning of the movie. One that reads like he was full of life and joy, and then the other one just said like he was the saddest person I ever met, and
Yeah.
that really encompasses this guy's character. He's like he's the life of the party, but this the issue with this kind of person is that he's the kind of guy that can't be alone. He's one of those type of people. It's like um, it's one of those like the saddest person is the loudest person in the room kind of thing going on with him. And again, he arrives at this bar and he's buying everybody drinks and he's just constantly just speaking and just saying things, and it's almost like a show, entertaining in and of itself to just see a person just like sit at a bar, right, and then just start rambling like endlessly, just rambling. It's a
Yeah.
one man podcast, with just people kind of commenting here and there, and then you can see the situation there with his alcohol issue, where he's kind of trying. He begins with it just being like, pour me one and I'll just look at it, and then just pour me a ginger soda. But then he drinks and then he gets another drink and then he gets another drink. So there's this kind of sequential thing where clearly he seems like he's trying to quit. He has a personal relationship with the bartender, but obviously the side of not quitting is winning this war of his. And the movie opens with his untimely death. So he knows that we know from the very get go that he's not able to really like overcome this issue that he's having.
Yeah.
Um, but again, just a really fascinating guy, right? And everybody who is around him seems to kind of enjoy him because he's non-threatening. He's a
Mhm.
5 foot even, very short, old, bald guy. Balding anyway, to put some respect on on his hair. um, but he's very inoffensive. And then there's this thing going on with him where he's also kind of like, I guess, they make a lot of comments as in regards to like his sexuality and his orientation, and he kind of implies throughout the movie that he's more or less like pan or like bi or something along those lines. But that seems to be kind of like an issue with him in the general society because of it. It's like 1930s, 1940s, whatever this is, the 50s, I think. I forget when
Yeah.
exactly this was. Um, but yeah, just very fascinating, and I enjoyed like listening to some of his tales and like his humor, and at one point he had an interaction with like a writer that was off in the corner, which I found really interesting, because he talks to him because up to that point in the movie he was talking to everybody as almost like he's like the MC, right, the master of ceremonies, like he's just there and he's just saying a bunch of stuff and everybody's like reacting. But then he talks to this other guy who's a writer. He's talking to him as like a peer. He expresses his admiration. They have a drink. And when he steps away to kind of go and talk to Richard Rogers and congratulate him, and everybody shows up after the play, or after the musical rather. As he walks away, the other writer says like, he is one of the great admirers of beauty. That's how he like speaks of Lauren's heart, right? And we have this whole thing throughout the movie of his infatuation with a young woman, right? And that's a woman played by Margaret Qualley. In a weird performance, I thought. Like, I'm not a big Margaret Qualley fan. We've seen her before in The Substance. She was like the younger version of I forget the name of the other actress, but she was her
Demi
young
Moore.
Demi Moore. Yes, I'm not a fan of Margaret Qualley. Like, I find her, and it's fun. I find her, I don't know. Like, I find that she doesn't lose herself in the performances. I guess that's the word that I'm looking for. Like, I find her very superficial, and like
Hmm.
I just always see her, and she's always making the same faces and saying
She's
things.
like Sydney Sweeney a little
Yes,
bit, where she's very attractive,
yeah,
but um, it's like I don't know. It's like it's supposed to be this it girl, but
right.
you're just kind of like
It doesn't work, and it's
there's
just
there's just not much charisma there. There's
exactly
not much passion. Where like for me, like like an actress who a newer actress on the scene that I feel like has a lot of passion and interest in the in storytelling and what she does is like Micah Monroe, the chick from It
Yeah, yeah,
Follows
yeah,
and
yeah,
Long Legs. Like
yeah,
someone like her, I really, and you could hear her in her interviews, like she talks at length about like movies that she loves and
yeah,
things like that. And
yeah.
um, I don't know. It's like people like Sydney Sweeney or like this
It's very
actress. It's
shallow.
almost like they're almost like
Yeah,
socialites in a
100%.
weird
It's
way.
it's very shallow. It's interesting because Robert Pattinson had an interview recently where, in promoting that movie, the drama that he was in, where he was saying that he doesn't have a lot of respect for his a lot of his peers because a lot
Yeah,
of them are not really like into the arts. Like they just do movies and that's it. But they're
they want
not.
people to look at them.
Exactly, but they don't know anything. Like if you ask them, like, have you seen this movie or have you read this thing? They don't really know anything about anything. And he was kind of like calling people out for that. And I feel like this is that, right, where it's like, and for Margaret Qualley, she's kind of like an it girl in more of like the artsy scene, right? Because she is in Blue Moon, and because she was in The Substance. And if you've seen the latest Coen brother not brothers, Cohen brother. I think if you've seen the latest like Ethan Cohen movie called Honey Don't. If you see that movie, she's the star of that movie. So she's been working with a lot of these like she's been making either artsy films or working with like artsy directors like Linklater or like Cohen. But obviously being like either not very good in their movies or being in their worst movies. Because if you've seen the reviews for that Ethan Coen movie, it's like his worst movie ever.
Okay,
I haven't seen the
okay,
movie, but the point that I'm trying to make is that there's like this like lack of depth in these performances. And I think you're accurate in the comparison that you made because there's like a weird thing going on with this like you said, like kind of like like almost just like famous socialite lady in film thing happening that has been very at least for in terms of like what I believe has been very unsuccessful, and it's just kind of giving us like really poor for me it's giving me poor performances for to watch but also poor movies. So I've not really enjoyed it very much. I didn't enjoy her here. Again, she doesn't disappear into the role at all, and there's something weird about her being in this role because they talk her up so much. Like he talks her up so much that when she shows up and she's so like kind of like bland and it just kind of leaves me with this kind of impression of like this was not the right casting for this. Like because I feel like for to cast somebody that gets built up so much in a movie, I feel like you need to cast somebody with actual like gravitas and charisma, to like show up, and like, it's kind of like the roles that Emma Stone used to perform, earlier in her career, where she would show up and actually be like really like energetic, and charismatic. And this is to me this was just not that performance. But
yeah.
again, if there was a great performance here, it was Ethan Hawke. I thought he had a really great performance,
Oh
like
yeah,
like all time great Ethan Hawke performance in terms of like Ethan Hawke performances,
yeah.
which is
The film
interesting.
rested on his
Yes,
performance for
literally,
sure.
it was him the whole time, and it's interesting because he plays a guy that's 5 foot even. he's like
Yeah, I did
he's like
notice that
so
I was like,
short.
he looks like a little
Yeah,
troll in this movie.
he's tiny, and I was looking at him and I was like, wait, it's like isn't Ethan Hawke like 5'8"? But everybody's like towering over him, and it made me think that they must have been pulling like the old Apple boxes gimmick because it's like there's no way the whole movie everybody's like so much taller than him, but
Yeah,
when you look up Ethan Hawke is 5'10", and
but
everybody
yeah,
else,
I looked it up out of curiosity
yeah,
after I watched this.
he's 5'10". And everybody else, like Margaret Qualley's 5'8". Like everybody else is actually either his height or shorter than him. But they're all like huge. So I found that interesting. The movie, I was never really truly bored with this movie. And like you said, it's a battle movie. It takes place in one setting and mainly that main set. And there's also like a bathroom set and there's also like a closet set, but it's all the same setting. But still, even then, like it never really bored me. And at the end of the day, it's just kind of like Ethan Hawke's a sad sack. Like his character is just a sad sack, like has been, lyricist, like music writer guy. and he's past his prime, and there's a world in which he could bounce back, but his addiction issues are too tall and difficult for him to overcome. And that's really what the movie is. And even though he's kind of sour grapes, that Oklahoma is really successful and he was not part of it, he still kind of carries himself gracefully in the movie because he never poo-poos it, at least like not outwardly. He kind of does personally to his friend, but him and Richard Rogers like speak to each other, and they kind of have these moments where they reminisce, and it kind of it lets you know that his relationship to Richard Rogers is one in which he would just kind of tell him like, I didn't like Oklahoma, I thought it was kind of shit. He obviously he never says it publicly, and publicly he like actually just says like it was great, a round of applause. But personally he tells him like I this was some BS. He like tells him in a scene in the movie like you can do better than this. Like this is below your potential.
Right.
So I found that really fascinating, kind of his relationship with Richard Rogers, and also the fact that Richard Rogers wants to work with him because he tells him like, hey, let's do another thing together. Like he basically tells him like, let's take baby steps. Let me see that you'll actually be able to be professional, and that you can actually like work in a schedule. He like pulls like a Stavros. He's like, I just want to do this like from this time to this time, and I just need you to show up and do it. Like he pulls a Stavros with C Downer. He was like, this is just too erratic. I need consistency.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just fascinating movie, and I do love the idea of who Lawrence Hart is, because in a way I despite the fact that I'm not as, let's say, outwardly yappy of a person, much the opposite I would like to think, at least like in the public setting, but despite that I did kind of see him as a kindred spirit, as somebody who is like passionate about arts, and who's passionate about like you know film criticism or art criticism, and the qualities of art. I did find him very compelling. But all of that aside, I think the movie overall, as like a whole, I thought it was kind of middling. That's my whole 2 cents about it.
Yeah, it's a very the impression that I got is very one trick pony kind of movie.
Hmm.
You're just kind of following Ethan Hawke, and he almost has like the same. Even he every scene with him is almost the same scene in a
Yeah,
weird way, where he's just like, it's him being kind of grandiose and then trying to say something nice, but then also being like, but wouldn't it be better if this,
yeah,
and like let's make art that's honest, which I understood it. Where his friend seemed to be coming from the standpoint of, well, let's give people what they
yeah.
want. Let's make a show that's going to be
Successful and
popular.
popular. Yeah, he wants to
Yeah.
operate within the mainstream, and obviously, in attempting to operate within the mainstream, you're sacrificing anything that is more complex, and you're
Hmm.
kind of operating in the shallows. To quote that movie, what's the name of that movie? Star is Born. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, like interesting discussion about like art and criticism and media and again like popular mainstream products, but and passion projects. But yeah,
Yeah, I also felt like Lorenz's sort of criticism of other people's work as shallow and basically saying like, well, my own work might be uh not as popular right now because it's complex and it challenges people. It's kind of a coping
there's a
mechanism.
cope. It's a huge cope because at the end of the day, he
It was a
wants to be
cope. Yeah,
successful. Because that's the funny thing. It's like
yeah,
it's like that JC line. Like, would you rather be underpaid or underrated? Because it's like, well, Lorenz, you're underrated, but it obviously you're super salty that Oklahoma is super successful.
yeah,
Because you would
yeah.
wish to be super successful. And but yeah, you're right.
I found it admirable that he admitted he was salty, though.
Yeah,
I think that if you're unable to hold it all in, it is better to just
but yeah,
admit it. Admit like, hey, yeah, I'm a little bitter about it. Like, of course, I would love to have been have a show that's people are raving about right
right.
now.
Yeah,
Um, Yeah, and yeah, I mean, like we've been saying, the character was very compelling.
Hmm.
Where I was never, I was never really bored. I really was fascinated watching because I've like encountered people like this where it's
Probably
just
have.
like, yeah, where it's like they're either has been or never been,
Yeah, never
but they're
was.
just
Yeah.
like, and they always like I've met people who have these weird grandiose stories, where it's like, oh, I actually invented the mechanical heart, and you're like, no, no, you didn't. Like,
Hmm.
what are you talking? You wouldn't be, you know, like I don't know. That I've encountered people like that who have some weird grandiose story, and you're like, I don't think that's accurate,
Yeah.
like, and it's interesting. It's always very interesting and just sad to be around those people, and like you kind of get this fear in you a little bit, where you're like, am I gonna be like that?
Yeah.
Like, um, I don't know. Like, if I end up not, if I end up being a have not, how will I cope?
Yeah. You have to come somehow.
Like that kind of,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my super engaging and informative and insightful review on Blue Moon. Everybody, hope
I
you liked it.
I would I would ask you to do finish it, and
Yeah,
if
I do want to. Yeah,
yeah, just I would like for you to do that. I know you're gonna do it anyway, but yeah, nonetheless, yeah, decent watch otherwise though. Great. If anything, I think it's worth watching, just from the perspective of what else is Richard Linklater doing these days, and from the perspective of like, if you're an Ethan Hawke fan, this is a great performance by him. Um, Otherwise, it is what it is. Mr. Jake, what do you have for next week?
next we still got 12 minutes. Do you want to do recaps?
Yeah, I wanted to recaps, but I wanted you to. I don't know. I didn't know if you wanted to say it now or later.
I'll shout it out now. Let's do next week the new survival horror thriller by Sam Raimi. Send Help.
Oh, all right.
let's see. Let's see if Sam Raimi still got it,
Well,
man.
according to the reviews, he still has it. It has great reviews.
Yeah,
So,
is it from critics and audiences?
well,
Yeah, I guess so.
that's a 93 on Rotten
Yeah,
Tomatoes right now, and yeah, an 87 from audiences. So we might be in for a fun one. It's on Hulu right now. Um,
yeah.
so
Yeah, I mean Sam Raimi, he's for my money, he's one of the best filmmakers out there, honestly. I mean, like the Evil Dead movies are awesome, those Spider-Man movies are great, but then like he's got some great one-offs too, like A Simple Plan, that's a fantastic
I
movie.
still need to
For
finish
my
that one.
money, A Simple Plan is better than Fargo. Like
Mm,
those are two very
similar
comparable
movies.
movies
Yeah.
from around the same time. They both are like crime thriller, covering up a crime thriller movies
Yeah.
that take place in a snowy landscape. And A Simple Plan is way far superior to Fargo, but Fargo ended up being the iconic movie.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I think A Simple Plan's a way better movie. Um, but yeah, so Sam Raimi, we'll see if he still got it.
All right.
I did not enjoy that Doctor Strange movie that he did, but what do you expect? Who
Yeah.
knows how much freedom they really even gave him
Yeah.
during that.
But to wrap us up, why don't you go ahead and give us your recap?
Yeah, sure. So as far as movies go for this week, um, I watched. Oh, I guess only one. One of the weirdest movies I've ever seen in my life. My girl just put it on. It was a movie she liked when she was like a tween.
Hmm.
It's an early Aaron Taylor Johnson movie.
Hmm.
And it's called Angus, Thongs, and Perfect Snogging.
Ooh,
And it's like a
sounds
Nickelodeon.
sounds like quite a title.
Yeah, it's a Nickelodeon movie. And it's but I think it was a theatrical release. It's not like a TV movie, I don't think.
Mm.
But it's like Nickelodeon Studios, and then it 2008, and it PG-13,
Mhm.
and it's really it's one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen in my life. Just the plot isn't super weird or anything. It's pretty typical tween drama fare. A lot of what was weird about it was just the performances and the editing and some of the music choices. It all came together in just this weird kind of fever dream
Mhm.
feel. My review that I put on Letterboxd is, quote, "Is it for kids, adults, or people on drugs?" Yeah, people on drugs. And that was my that was my review for that movie. Interesting early Aaron Taylor Johnson movie.
Yeah.
I'm watching it and I'm like, there's this, teenager with a Justin Bieber haircut who looks a lot like Aaron Taylor Johnson. I'm like, is that
Mhm.
him? She, my girl was like, yeah. Like, holy shit. Um, so yeah, that's all I got movie wise. And then I'm showing my girlfriend season 1 of True Detective. So that's a rewatch for me. Obviously, I've seen that a bunch of times. And we needed a new show. We just finished that School Spirits show, or caught up on it. I think it's going to be a year before the next season comes out. That School Spirits show,
Mm.
really good writing. Um, that show really, it's very. There's a lot of storylines and character moments and things in that show that really make you think about life and death and how people will be once you're gone and how the world moves on when you're gone. You know, um, pretty good show. Uh, Honestly, I would say it's comparable to Stranger Things, but I think it's probably a better show than Stranger Things, honestly. Um, in a lot of ways, anyway. And then finally, uh, I guess I'll recap the new episode of The Boys. We got 2 episodes left now.
Hmm.
Watched episode 6 last night, and yeah, the writing for that show is pretty messy. A lot of shit that doesn't make sense, but it is still I'm still invested. I think everybody's invested at this point. Everybody who's a fan of the show, we're just kind of like we're locked in. We're ready to see how Homelander dies. We just want to see Homelander get got,
Mhm.
and we want to see how the storylines of a lot of our favorite characters get wrapped up. Um, Minor, I guess, spoilers here for The Boys. I don't know. I don't think you care,
No, I don't care.
Edward, but Homelander went Super Saiyan uh, on the latest episode. It honestly, despite the road being bumpy getting there as far as the writing goes, the ending to last night's episode, season 5, episode 6, um, was quite terrifying. I mean, I was quite unsettled because basically you have this whole storyline where the main characters they have this virus that will kill uh, all superheroes on the planet when they release it. But they have a couple superhero allies that are, some of the main characters they're actually like romantically involved with and they love them. So they don't want them to die from the virus. So they got to find this serum that will not only make you immune to the virus, but it also causes you to not age. And so Homelander is also looking for that serum. And so, meaning that if Homelander gets the serum, not only will he be immune to this virus and they won't have a way to kill him, but he'll also be immortal and he won't age. So, like, the world's stuck with him.
Mhm.
And he fucking got it, dude. He fucking got it. It was like crazy. The whole season, you're like, well, they can't let him get it. He fucking got it. And the episode ends with him getting it. He injects himself with it, and then he starts having this roided out fucking reaction. He falls to his knees, throws his head back, shoots his fucking lasers at the sky, and just starts screaming, like,
It's probably gonna be
as
some
his
twist
lasers are
around that.
shooting.
How it probably isn't what he expected it to be, or some shit like that.
I don't know. And then it just cuts to Butcher, one of the main characters of the show, and he just goes, run. And then it just cuts back to Homelander. He's fucking shooting lasers at the sky. Episode ends. And I was like, holy fucking shit, dude. So I don't know where they're taking it. They got 2 episodes left. And we got to see how we can kill Homelander. I won't get into it, but there is still a way to kill him, but it relies on something very specific. So I'm interested to see how the writers are going to pull that off. Are they going to pull it off without a hitch? Probably not.
Yeah.
The writing over the past couple seasons has been so sloppy. There's some parts that are downright Walking Dead level of just stupid. So we'll see. Overall, it just is like one of those shows where you're like, fuck, this could be so good, dude. And it was for a long time. But, you're just like banging your head against shit. The whole, like, every episode, it seems, you're just like scratching your head and just wanting to bang it against a wall. Like, what the fuck are they thinking? The plot holes, inconsistencies, power scaling. That show does no power scaling. No power scaling. There was a character who at last season ate a minigun, like 8 shots from a fucking, one of those miniguns that you have in a helicopter.
Yeah.
And then last night, some other the Aquaman stand-in for the show kills him with a knife. You're like, what the fuck? What? What? Anyway.
It's like Call of Duty, dude. Where it's like you can always just like shank a guy that takes him out.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? Anyway, that's my latest on the boys. Edward, go for it, man.
Okay, I will take us home with a recap of just music, as always. Last time I talked about how I was listening to The Roots, and for the past few weeks, I have now been listening to Rosalia, who is like a Spanish musician. She came up first with an album called Los Angeles from 2017, which is kind of like a folk and flamenco combination album, which I think is like really great if you're into folk Spanish music and flamenco, which not everybody is, but there's a lot of Spanish guitar, a lot of really like beautiful singing and very specific songwriting. And then I followed that up with her second album, El Mar Querer, from 2018, which is kind of more of like it's her trying to combine flamenco and pop, like in a very like kind of like more mainstream way, as we talked about with Blue Moon. And I think it's really successful. Like this album really is successful at combining like what was pop music in 2018 and her more like Spanish flamenco style, with a lot of like clapping and guitars and a lot of more mainstream production. I thought she was very successful. So those are 2 like really great albums from her. Then I listened to her 2021 album Moto Mami, which is a fascinating album because it's a combination of again mainstream music of the time, which at this point in time was like pop, and a lot of it was like reggaeton. So this is kind of a combination of like reggaeton and pop, again flamenco, and a lot of like weirdly like kind of like Japanese like references and Dominican references, because for some reason Dominican music was very in vogue in 2021 with both her and Bad Bunny making like very Dominican centric albums. So I liked this one. And then she just released an album a couple of weeks ago, Lux. And this album is kind of her going back to her roots of just having like a more flamenco pop centric album. But then this one combines those 2 things with like a very real, like avant garde, like touch. And with for some reason like a myriad of languages. Like she's in this album, she's like speaking in Italian, she's speaking in Spanish, speaking in English. I think in some instances she speaks in Japanese. So there are instances in this album where like a song will be playing and I understand the song for like 5 seconds and then I'm like, what is she saying? And that's kind of like a constant. I will say that this is her album that I've enjoyed the least, you know? I've listened to it now a few times back to back to back. And I'm still like kind of struggling with it a little bit because I find the influx of languages to be challenging, you know, and it kind of like alienates me as a listener because I'm like, what is going on, you know, half the time. I don't have an issue with listening to like music with that the language I don't understand, but in this specific album, there's like a clear narrative going through it that she's kind of trying to engage the listener with, and it just loses you if for some reason she starts speaking in Italian or she starts speaking in Icelandic. You know, it's like, well, I don't know what you're saying. You know, so
Yeah.
very interesting, and also sonically, the album is in certain instances so like kind of like alternative and avant-garde that it also is a little bit more challenging than that. So this would not be my album to recommend to somebody to listen to. Rosalia, if you want to listen to Rosalia, just listen to Mar Career, like her album from 2018. I would say listen to this. Again, if you're into like Spanish flamenco and pop music, which I don't think everybody is. um, Otherwise, that is it for my music.
Did you only got a few letters left before you threw the whole
I
alphabet,
know, like
man?
a big goal for me, and I think I spoke about this in the first show of the week, is that I want to get through this. Like I want to finish this. Like this year, I don't want to be doing this anymore. Like I want to actually, I would just want to punctuate this whole project that I've been working on for the past like 5, 6 years. I'm over it. Um, but
Your last, if I'm thinking about the alphabet, if you have them in there, your last one will probably be ZZ Top because that's two Z's. So
yeah,
that will be the last one
no, because
logically.
funnily enough, this
They're
works.
probably not in there for you, but
Well, but this works in numbers. So the very last stuff is like numbers. So it's like 50
oh,
Cent.
that's
It's like down.
right.
It's like down
Oh,
there.
oh my God, you have fucking numbers. I forgot about numbers.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So
You
I'm
got,
not.
dude, you got 21 Savage,
Yeah.
21,
50 Cent.
21 Pilots.
070 Shake. Like yeah, a bunch of like numbers. So when I get to the numbers, is when I'm really in the home stretch. Um. Yeah.
6 9. You gotta listen to six
No.
nine. You know,
No, I'm not gonna
I
waste my
didn't
time.
think so.
I'm not trying to waste my time, dude. I'm trying to just like get through this. I'm almost through the R's. I'm
Yeah,
going into the S. Like, just trying to get through this. I know the T. It's gonna be challenging. It's a lot of shit in the T's.
yeah.
I'm gonna probably spend like a month or two on there. But in any case, next week, folks, it will be. What was the movie for next week?
Send help.
Send Help
Just
by
send help.
Sam Raimi with Rachel McAdams. Um, Stay tuned for that. Be here or be squared. Thank you for listening to Film Tangents. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. We're also on Apple Podcast. Turn on notifications. Support the show. Thanks again. Next time on Film Tangents, we're out.
See ya.